Welcome to the Vertical Sky Journal, the podcast that brings you everything you could ever want to know about Kilimanjaro. The climbing and the fitness, altitude and nutrition, the environment, the wildlife, and the people at the heart of the mountain. Today, in our Is Kilimanjaro For Me series, climbing as a couple, the most romantic thing you will ever do and the least glamorous at exactly the same time.
Yeah, that's genuinely the most accurate way to put it.
It really is, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, we've spent the past few weeks, just sort of combing through expedition logs and psychological studies on, high stress environments,
Right.
and also talking to lead guides to figure out what actually happens to a relationship when you're at, 19,000 feet.
Yeah, it's an extreme environment. It really is.
Exactly. So for anyone who is currently listening to this whilst maybe weighing up a booking with their partner, our central mission today is to explore a very specific phenomenon, which is that the mountain essentially strips away
Mm-hmm.
every single social mask you wear,
Yes.
leaving you both entirely exposed.
It does. It's a remarkable catalyst, actually. There are really two perfectly valid schools of thought regarding climbing a mountain with the person you love, and they both revolve around that stripping away of everyday pretense.
Right.
The first school, I suppose, focuses on the ultimate romantic ideal.
The sort of glossy brochure version.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You achieve a shared summit. You witness a spectacular sunrise from the roof of Africa that literally nobody else will ever fully understand in the same way.
Yeah.
And you secure this remarkable shared story that you will keep telling together for the next couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. But then I would contrast that straight away with the opposing school of thought,
Right.
which leans heavily into the stark reality of the expedition.
The gritty bit.
The very gritty bits. Because this perspective suggests you will encounter each other, entirely unwashed, profoundly exhausted, and mildly irrational at 3 o'clock in the morning in freezing temperatures. Which is, that specific reality often prompts people to suggest, maybe the stability of the relationship should be carefully consulted before any deposits are paid.
It's a very fair warning. It really is. But the fascinating thing is that both realities exist concurrently.
Right.
This precise combination of immense beauty and just sheer physical adversity is the exact mechanism that changes couples. When you subject a partnership to that dual pressure, people come home fundamentally different.
They do in a good way, though, generally.
Oh, almost always. They return almost universally glad they made the journey. Because doing hard things together bonds people in a completely unique way. Primarily because it alters the architecture of how you actually spend time together.
That's a brilliant way of putting it. The architecture of time. Let's examine the structure of modern domestic life to understand why that shift is so necessary. Because couple time today is very frequently, reduced to dinner and a screen.
Yeah, heavily fragmented. Heavily. Our attention is constantly divided by notifications, daily obligations, and just the endless administration of running a household.
The life admin. Yeah.
Exactly. But Kilimanjaro offers something exceedingly rare. It provides 7 days of walking side by side with nowhere else to be, and absolutely nothing to scroll through.
No signal.
No signal at all. You are completely untethered from the digital world.
And that absence of distraction forces a real cognitive shift. 8 hours a day on the trail creates room for these expansive conversations that simply never find space at home.
Because you literally just have to put one foot in front of the other.
Right, exactly. When you remove the daily administrative tasks of life, the brain just stops processing schedules and starts engaging with the present moment. You discover new depths to your partner because you finally have the unbroken hours required to reach them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Furthermore, watching your partner dig deep and find hidden reserves of determination on summit night, it generates a level of respect that no standard anniversary dinner could ever produce. No, I can imagine.
You're witnessing their resilience in real time, completely stripped of all domestic comforts.
Which brings us quite neatly to the physical realities of the expedition. We have to address the gritty components, frankly.
We do.
You will not look your best. I mean, neither partner will maintain their usual standards of appearance. The trail dust settles into absolutely everything.
Oh, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
The thermal base layers are worn repeatedly. And the remarkable thing is that by day 3, the concept of grooming completely vanishes.
It's gone.
It's entirely gone. And I would argue that this mutual deterioration becomes its own distinct kind of intimacy.
It is a profound vulnerability, actually. You are allowing your partner to see you entirely without the polish of everyday life. You exist simply as you are, dealing with the elements. However, the physical grime is sort of secondary to the psychological toll.
Right.
The altitude and the relentless physical effort mean that tiredness naturally reduces everyone's patience by roughly 10%.
10% right off the top.
Right off the top. It's a biological inevitability. When the body is taxed and oxygen saturation drops, the prefrontal cortex just struggles to regulate emotion as efficiently as it does at sea level.
So with that physiological handicap in mind, what is the most effective communication strategy on the mountain? Because if both partners are operating with a 10% deficit in patience, friction seems completely inevitable.
Well, we always advise listeners that the couples who thrive on the mountain pack one extra virtue alongside their thermal layers.
Okay.
And that virtue is gentleness.
Gentle.
Genuine gentleness, not merely biting your tongue, but actual grace. The mathematics of summit night communication are beautifully simple. Telling your partner that they are doing brilliantly outperforms telling them to hurry up by roughly infinity.
Right. I mean, hurry up at 5,000 meters must just be the worst thing you could possibly hear.
Oh, it's devastating. When the brain is oxygen-starved, it responds terribly to negative pressure and exceptionally well to positive reinforcement. The mountain acts as a flawless mirror. It shows you exactly who your partner is under extreme stress.
And I suppose for the vast majority of couples, discovering that underlying kindness in their partner when everything is difficult is wonderful news.
It is. It's incredibly reassuring.
The idea of the mountain acting as a mirror is fascinating, especially when we apply it to physical capabilities. Because the single most common worry couples express before booking is the anxiety surrounding the fitness gap.
Yes, the fitness gap.
Yeah, if one person is significantly fitter at home, perhaps they're running marathons or training heavily, they naturally worry about the dynamic on the trail.
Yeah.
Will the slower partner feel like a burden? How does the mountain accommodate differing fitness levels without causing resentment?
Well, the mountain has a brilliantly elegant built-in solution. Anyone researching Kilimanjaro knows the phrase pull.
Right, meaning slowly, slowly.
Slowly, slowly. The guides set a deliberately slow pace for the entire team from the very first day. It is invariably a much slower pace than the fitter partner actually wants to walk on those lower slopes.
I imagine that causes significant psychological friction, though, right? The fitter partner has to intentionally throttle down their natural rhythm for days on end, which requires substantial relinquishing of ego.
It requires immense patience, yes. But they quickly learn the biological necessity of that pace. Altitude is the ultimate equalizer. It respects nobody's gym membership.
Oh, wow. So all those marathons don't necessarily help you up there?
Not in the way you'd think. A high cardiovascular capacity at sea level does not automatically translate to efficient oxygen transport at 4,000 meters.
Right.
So the fitness gap that looms so large at home mostly dissolves as the air thins. The slow pace is the only way the body can build the necessary red blood cells to acclimatize.
I see. But I want to push back on how that plays out on the final ascent. What happens on summit night if the climbing speeds of the two partners genuinely diverge? Because forcing a matched pace in the freezing dark seems like a recipe for deep resentment.
Yes.
Must you split up? And does that not defeat the entire purpose of climbing together?
It does not defeat the purpose at all. And forcing a matched pace is exactly what we avoid. The summit night strategy is highly refined to handle this exact scenario.
Okay, how's that work?
If paces diverge, the guides seamlessly split the couple, assigning a dedicated guide to each. This means each climber walks their own climb at the precise rhythm their individual physiology dictates in the thin air.
That makes sense.
Because forcing the faster climber to freeze while waiting or forcing the slower climber to dangerously overexert themselves, it helps no one.
No, absolutely not.
So they climb separately through the dark and then reunite further up on the crater rim just in time for the sunrise. It is an exceptionally emotional place to reconnect, having conquered the hardest part individually.
That's lovely. And I suppose that structural separation removes the pressure entirely.
Completely.
Regarding preparation at home, though, how should couples handle their training given this this inevitable equalization on the mountain?
Train together when possible. Back-to-back weekend walks make brilliant date material and build shared anticipation.
Yeah.
However, feel completely happy to train apart, too. Do not stress over matching each other's pace on your local hills. Trust that the mountain and the guides will pace you perfectly when you arrive in Tanzania.
That stripping away of ego regarding fitness applies equally to the literal baggage you bring and the physical spaces you share, doesn't it? Let's look at the reality of zipping yourselves into a tent together for 7 days.
Yes, the logistics.
Logistics. Because sleeping arrangements are naturally a primary concern. Sharing a tent is the standard protocol, and the Heimplanet domes used on these expeditions are genuinely spacious.
They really are.
Their geodesic inflatable structure provides vertical walls, which prevents that terrible claustrophobia when two people are trying to organize their gear.
They are incredibly well designed for sharing. However, we do add a practical, entirely non-judgmental caveat here.
Which is?
Separate tents are entirely arrangeable upon request.
Ah, okay.
We openly acknowledge that some highly successful marriages run purely on good, undisturbed sleep.
Very true.
If one partner is a restless sleeper or struggles with altitude-induced insomnia, there is absolutely no shame in prioritizing rest by sleeping in separate tents.
That is a very sensible provision. Now, when it comes to packing those duffel bags for two, there are several clever rules to observe to save weight. You can happily share your toiletries. You only need a single, comprehensive first aid kit between you.
Yes.
You can certainly share the solar power bank to keep your cameras charged. You must, however, double up on your warm socks.
Always double up on socks.
Always. But looking at these packing lists, I have to challenge the advice on food. Surely, bringing one massive shared bag of trail mix is far more efficient for weight distribution than packing individual supplies.
Oh, I strongly advise against shared snack supplies.
Really? Why is that?
You are ignoring the physiological reality of mountain hunger.
Okay.
At high altitude, your basal metabolic rate skyrockets, meaning you are burning thousands of calories just to stay warm and move. Simultaneously, the altitude suppresses ghrelin, your primary hunger hormone.
So you don't actually feel hungry.
You do not feel hungry, but you are physically starving. This leads to severe, sudden blood sugar crashes. Territorial disputes over chocolate bars at 4,000 meters are fierce and entirely irrational.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought of that.
Yes. Packing separate personalized rations is vital for diplomatic relations in the tent.
A completely rational solution to an irrational biological problem. I love that.
Precisely.
So beyond the contents of the duffel bags, couples must consider their overall booking options. They must decide between a private climb or joining an open group.
Right. And choosing a private climb for two means the whole expedition becomes yours. You own the pace, you choose your exact dates, and you command the dinner table each evening in perfect privacy.
Which sounds incredibly romantic.
It is. Alternatively, joining an open group allows a couple to enjoy the wonderful dynamic of being the established pair who are affectionately adopted by the solo climbers in the team.
Yeah, that's a nice dynamic too.
Both approaches work beautifully and create entirely different but equally memorable atmospheres.
This brings us to a highly specialized logistical challenge for those planning grand gestures. We must discuss summit proposals.
Ah.
It is a known specialty on these expeditions. But how exactly does someone pull off a surprise engagement at nearly 6,000 meters above sea level when they can barely breathe?
Well, summit proposals happen regularly, and having quietly assisted with a few, the professional guidance is absolute. The single most important rule is that you must tell your lead guide in advance.
Always.
Always. The guides take this duty extremely seriously. They will expertly manage the timing of the moment, they will coordinate the photography angles, and they are absolute masters of keeping the secret throughout the preceding week of hiking.
I would imagine the logistics for the engagement ring itself must be incredibly precise. One cannot simply leave something that valuable loose in a rucksack while digging for waterproof trousers in a blizzard.
Oh, absolutely not. The strict protocol is to keep the ring warm and securely zipped in an inside pocket close to your body.
I imagine that patting one's chest pocket 400 times on summit night to check it is still safely there is a universal, unspoken rite of passage.
It is a distinct nervous habit we spot immediately in prospective fiancés.
I'm sure.
As for the execution of the proposal, we strongly advise against proposing at the crowded summit sign itself.
Right, the wooden sign is where every single climber gathers for their mandatory photographs, making it chaotic, crowded, and extremely windy.
It is the worst possible place for an intimate moment. Instead, the move that truly works is to step aside to the quiet of the crater rim just as the sun rises.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
It offers a few private steps away from the crowds, with the morning light doing incredible ethereal things across the ice cliffs. It provides a profoundly private moment in a spectacularly beautiful landscape.
Yeah.
Ultimately, know this: nobody has ever had to explain the story twice. Saying, "We got engaged on the roof of Africa," tends to land perfectly every single time.
It is a story that requires absolutely no embellishment. To bring our exploration to a close, we must share an honest observation from the mountain. There is a very specific look on a couple's face when they finally stand together at that summit sign.
There really is.
It is distinctly different from every other summit face we see. It is the look that says, "We did this." And it is abundantly clear that the word "we" is doing the heavy lifting in that sentence.
That shared achievement is permanent. The 7 days spent side by side culminate in one sunrise on the roof of Africa, creating a connection that means even more on the descent. You will come home with the same photographs, the same in-jokes, and the same spectacular sunrise stored in two separate memories.
Yeah.
So to summarize the core advice for couples planning their climb: book the longer route to allow yourselves the best chance of acclimatization. Pack that essential extra gentleness in your duffel bag. Tell your guide immediately if there's an engagement ring involved. Go out and get a story that belongs entirely to both of you.
Because the mountain strips away all the modern distractions and reveals exactly who someone is under extreme pressure. I would offer one final thought to those preparing for this journey. The true final test of a Kilimanjaro couple is not actually reaching the geographical peak.
No.
The true test happens weeks later, back at sea level.
Yeah.
It is discovering whether you can take that profound mountain-forged patience you found for each other at 19,000 feet and apply it to a mundane Tuesday night argument over unloading the dishwasher.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, do subscribe so you never miss the latest from the Vertical Sky Journal. You will find a full written version of this episode over on our journal at vertical-sky.com. And we would love you to come and say hello on Instagram, where we are at Vertical Sky, TZWW. Until next time, pole, and keep dreaming of the mountain.